and welcome to the Best Forking Friends podcast. Today we have Blake.
Hello.
Branson. Oh, sorry. Blake. Is it one more time?
Hello.
Branson
Hello.
and James.
Hey there.
And James is new to our podcast. James is from our area, but he's visiting in town. Blake's his brother-in-law. And James, tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from.
Yeah, first, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Yeah, I grew up here in Greenville, and I now live in Riverside, California. I'm a college professor and a freelance journalist. Have a PhD in media studies, but I also teach classes like Intro to Labor Studies and Cultural Studies, and I've taught film studies and journalism studies.
Wow.
Awesome.
That's really impressive.
Got a doctor in the house, baby.
Yeah, I think it's the first doctor we've had on the stream or on the podcast here.
Well, I'm a doctor of love.
Yeah, you are.
I'm glad I could be your first, Branson.
That's great. So, can you tell us like an interesting story in your career path in becoming a professor and what you're doing right now? Just something memorable that you can, that would be kind of fun to share along with your journey.
I can recap a little bit of what I was sharing before we
Please.
got on.
Yeah.
That's what immediately comes to mind. I initially wanted to be an exercise physiologist coming out of high school. So I went to the University of Illinois in Urbana-Champaign and was working on a degree in kinesiology. And I realized that, I suck at biochem. And so I was not going to be able to pursue that career path and enjoy it and, have to do it at the level that I was going to need to do it. And so I was like, what else could I do with this degree? And some folks were trying to teach PE and coach. I was like, I could do that. My mom was an 8th grade middle school teacher,
Yeah.
8th grade lit. And it's like, all right, I liked PE and enough. Didn't loathe it. So I was like, I could see myself doing that and, wouldn't mind coaching basketball or track or cross country. And then I realized I hated kids. Didn't even like kids that much when I was a kid. Although, getting older, that's my perspective has changed a bit.
Do you think you could do it today?
No, that hasn't changed. No, definitely not. Definitely. I mean, my mom was an 8th grade lit teacher for 20 plus years, and I saw what that did to that woman. So
Sure.
it's rough being a public school teacher.
Oh, yeah.
Not that doing the adjunct professor thing isn't a struggle at times, but I prefer teaching technically young adults.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a modicum of maturity, and I don't have to censor myself the way that I would feel necessary
Yeah.
in, like, say, an 8th grade classroom.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, I've kind of short-circuited the story, but
No. It's all
I
good.
ended up going to grad school after that. Figured I'd either get a job working as a journalist or in some position in the media sphere, and that didn't immediately pan out. Turns out I could have gotten like a $15 an hour, like 30 grand a year job at one of the local papers in Central Illinois. Probably best that I didn't do that because I don't think there was much opportunity for advancement and
Yeah.
lots of layoffs in the journalism industry. So I didn't do that. Got a master's from the University of Illinois Springfield and realized I kind of had a knack for academia, for scholarship, and enjoyed it. So went to pursue a PhD in Carbondale at SIU, and that was rough.
Really?
It's not. I don't recommend it necessarily.
It's a
unless,
big party school.
But it used to be. I don't know to what degree it still is. Like, the student population has shrunk quite a bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for a number of reasons. Like, the cost of tuition doesn't help, but also
Sure.
the state of Carbondale itself as a town. But yeah, I mean, there's still, like, I think U of I was more a party school when I was there than Carbondale was.
Yeah.
Although, different. I guess Carbondale, to its credit, and I did get to experience this there, which is really great, has a real tight-knit community, or tight-knit communities, network of communities, some of which crisscross and interact, some of which don't. But that's actually probably the most valuable experience I had there. It was part of an effort to recuperate what became an info shop or a community center, social center space.
Oh,
So that was
okay.
really cool. It used to be the
Like
big
a
money.
visitor center, people would come
Yeah,
if
yeah,
they wanted
yeah.
to learn about Carbondale or things to do in that area.
But some of that, but then also like just like we'd have zines and we'd have artwork and we'd have
Wow.
like a maker space for people to build things. We had a lot of folks who were interested in agriculture and farming and gardening, and so we had a community garden
Oh,
right there
okay.
adjacent to it
Okay.
too.
I think I remember
And I
seeing
taught I co-hosted a community radio show. The community radio station was right next to the social center.
So you're used to a setup like this, being on a radio show then?
It wasn't a very professional community.
Well, I mean, we're pretty
yeah.
amateur, but I mean, yeah, I know that's
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even wear headphones
Oh,
when
really?
I was co-hosting. No, but I mean, I like to think that I did a solid job, and WDBX 91.1 FM community radio for Southern Illinois.
He's got a good radio.
Oh
voice.
man, you brought back some memories for me. I used to be on a radio show too, like at the college here in town, and I just remember like
Yeah.
89.5 WGRN.
The Grin. Yeah. I was on that a
grin
couple
is that what
times.
you
The
said?
grin.
The grin.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
a smile.
Oh,
I played music on there a couple times actually.
you did?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that guy Dale that you met, he played some live shows on there too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've not been on a real radio show, but this is my second podcast.
I mean, I would consider this radio at this point. I
It
mean,
is kinda
it's
like
take-
radio.
it's taken over radio, especially like talk radio.
this
I
is
would
what
imagine.
most people listen to.
Yeah. It's more podcasting
Than
nowadays.
like morning shows. Like I think of the Rizzuto show here,
Mm-hmm.
but like Bob and Tom and
Yeah.
like all those shows, like those are essentially what podcasts were before podcasts became a thing.
Yeah.
Is that you listen to people.
Yeah,
You
that's
play some music.
It's kind of basically like what we had. Like we'd do a show 3 nights a week, and it was basically a podcast before there was podcasts.
Yeah.
Like,
Right,
now
right.
that I look back at it,
Tom Green was kind of a pioneer for that too. I remember.
Tom Green.
That's right.
Yeah.
Tom Green
he had
pretty
a
much
setup.
created
Yeah,
the podcast.
Pretty much.
He
yeah.
did?
Yeah.
Yeah, he-
Joe
he
Rogan
gave, like,
got a lot from
There's
Tom.
video of Joe Rogan like on his it wasn't called a podcast then; it was an internet show.
Actually. Yeah.
But Joe Rogan was so amazed, and that's what gave Joe Rogan the idea for his
Yeah.
podcast.
And then he's the number one podcast. It's
Did I
pretty
cut your story off though,
No.
James? Okay.
No, you went into a better story.
Your story is pretty amazing, man. That's a lot of, man. That's a cool story.
Yeah. Well, James, thanks for sharing a little bit about your history. I'm sure all of our listeners out there, which we don't have a ton, we're building our core. So really, we're trying to get several episodes together, and then we're going to really start pushing it out to get people going on. But the gist of, in case anybody, I get asked a lot, what's your podcast about? Because I'll tell people about it.
Okay.
And they all want to go. They're like, what do you talk about? And I'm like, we talk about everything. Well, like what?
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
So I have
Yeah.
to have them listen to a little bit. So today, in fact, I had a few of my internet friends. I sent them the most recent episode.
Uh huh.
I said, just listen to like 10 or 15 minutes of it, and you'll get the gist. We're just normal people who just want to talk.
We're
Yeah.
just recording a conversation, basically.
Comfort food listening. It's nothing. You're not going to
It's
get any.
basically what we would do without mics in front of our face.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Well, tonight we have several categories of conversation. Well, the primary category, I should say, has to do with luck, skills, and talents. And we're going to just start with the opening question, which is, what is luck? And when I ask that question, what I want you to do is I want you to think for a second about when somebody says you're lucky, or man, I got good luck today, or bad luck. What does it mean to you? I don't need the dictionary definition, but what do you define luck as, and do you believe in it? So we'll start with Branson. Go ahead.
I remember when I was younger, and people were like, "Oh, you're lucky," and I was like, I don't believe in luck. It's not real.
You don't?
It was fate.
You didn't believe in it?
Fate.
Yeah, but I guess it's like luck is sort of fate in a way. I mean,
Yeah.
but yeah, I used to say that all the time. Like, it's not luck. It was meant to be. Like
Yeah.
that's just how it fell together. But I guess I don't have a premise of luck. It's just something that happens accidentally, or you take certain, you took a choice and you end up there.
Yeah.
I don't really have a definition of luck. I think it's kind of.
Do you think it's real?
Well, then you could. That's what I said. It's fate, kind of. If luck exists, then it was fated. It was fated, Blake.
Yeah, I
Me and
I
Blake
can
used
see
to
that.
watch.
Yeah,
Me
about
and Blake
you?
used to watch the show Vikings,
yeah.
Yeah,
and they'd always be like, "It was fated."
it was fated.
Our
Is it-
destiny.
what about you, Blake? What do you think?
Well, when I think of luck, not to get too far out and philosophical, but I think that some things are set up for people based on their actions. I think some people just naturally have quote unquote better luck, but I think it's more like kind of what Branson's saying. I think that things are fated and some people just have a setup in life. It's kind of synchronized. Like,
Yeah,
so I believe in synchronicities and serendipity and stuff like that. And I think luck really is, some people just have had experiences that have led them to these other experiences. I don't know. Like, I believe in karma and stuff like that.
sure.
And I kind of have a spiritual edge on it. I kind of see it more like that. But I think sometimes, there can just be a random thing that happens sometimes. But is it random?
Yeah,
Like, I think there's a whole balance to
kinda
the universe.
blows my mind.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
what do
it's
you mean
interesting.
luck? Oh,
Yeah.
is it fate? Is
No,
it
but
supposed to
I
happen?
know what Branson's saying. I kind of see that too. And the more I get older, I see that I think things are fated and there's some kind of orchestra to the universe. Like, things happen to people for certain reasons. For every
Sure.
action, there's a reaction. And I think some people have done actions that have led to better reactions, I guess.
Sort
So
of
you-
like the butterfly effect.
Yeah,
Or
something
like
like, kinda like
karma.
that. Yeah, karma. Yeah, I'm a full believer in karma.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a big part of it, really, in my view.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my take on it.
All right. What about you, James?
There's several threads that I wanted to pull on there, but I'm
Yeah.
gonna,
No,
I'm
you
gonna
can.
hold.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Well,
pull on.
Pull away.
So, Blake, when you suggested that actions that people take can result in them essentially becoming lucky or unlucky, is that an accurate paraphrase, or how would you
Yeah,
reword it?
I think that's part of it. And then, like, I think that there really is some kind of, you can call it God or whatever it is, some cosmic consciousness that kind of aligns things for people too, based on their actions, maybe. Like, kind of like fate. I guess that's really what fate is. And then if you think of destiny and fate, like, I think some things are set in stone and then other things are based on free will. So,
Gotcha.
He suggested karma would
Yeah.
be a good synonym, and
Yeah.
so that made me curious if you think that, like, if I was trying to define karma and differentiate it maybe from the way that I typically think about luck, which isn't necessarily the best way to think about it, karma would be like, well, I maybe act assholic toward you, but then maybe
I like
something
that word.
maybe something bad happens, or I experience some unluckiness in some other context, so it doesn't appear to me directly related unless I'm thinking, oh, that's karmic
Yeah.
retribution or something
Right.
like that. So is that what is that how you also think about luck and the lack thereof?
I really do. I think it's so much more complex than that, because it's like, if you think from the very first, it's like Newton's law. It's like, for every action there is a reaction. It's like, I think from the very first action that everything is just catching up as reactions from that very first action.
Yeah.
And it's just this thing that just keeps going and going and going and going. And everything you do, every move you make, it's not like, like if I hit somebody, I'll get hit directly back. It might not work like that per se. But you notice some people, like, you always say, man, that guy's lucky. That guy's lucky. And I think it might be based on something.
But
with
what
the
about
fruits of their
these
actions.
dudes you see that, are pieces of
And
shit?
yeah, and see,
then
that's the thing,
The
though,
good things happen to
That's
them.
why it's so
like,
complex.
that's what I'm
Point.
like. That's what I'm saying. Maybe it is fated. I
Yeah.
don't like it's kind of mind blowing to me. It's
Yeah.
like unexplainable. Like
Yeah.
it could be just random. No.
Yeah,
Are
no,
those
but
things
that's
mutually
the thing, yeah.
exclusive? Is, I mean, in your minds, is karma and also some people just seemingly being exempt from?
Yeah. How did they get the exempt?
I don't not necessarily think they're exempt. I just think that maybe.
But you also believe in multiple lifetimes, so
Yeah, see,
not to
yeah,
throw that
no,
out there, but I think that's
I
fair.
do. I do personally. That's just my personal views.
yeah.
So I think based on someone's past life could be karmas from this life, but that's just my own personal.
Yeah.
Not to get
Well, maybe
too
it's
far out
like
on that.
their positivity as far as they think they deserve it. Because sometimes I feel like Mel Brooks from Blazing Saddles, the Gov, when he's doing the paddling, he's like, "Why do I always get the warped one?"
Yeah.
And I'm just like, "What is all?" But maybe it's because I'm negative,
Mm-hmm.
And so the negative things come like attract to me, so I feel unlucky. So maybe these asshole-like people are just blindly positive, so the good
Yeah.
things keep happening to them. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a complex topic, really. And then there is just the idea of just getting back, stripping all the philosophical stuff away. It's
Yeah.
like, maybe there is just luck. It could be that too.
You just had to blow our minds off the first question, didn't you, Joel?
I thought it was I figured we would go down the rabbit
My
hole.
mind's
Yeah.
melted now.
But I think
Yeah.
James had a few more things he might have wanted to throw in there.
If I was pressed to come up with a working definition of luck, I don't know if I could, but when you were going around and asking us all for input, the first thing that came to mind was like, luck is that which I don't have. Not to be all Debbie
You got the
Downer.
warped one too. man.
Yes, exactly. And what you said, Branson, got me thinking. It's like, am I bringing this on myself?
Yeah.
But it does seem like, and I say that somewhat in jest, although not entirely.
Yeah.
I would say I am low key lucky sometimes. That is, there seem to be very serendipitous, fortuitous things that happen to me,
yeah.
or that I enter into. But then there also seem to be there's a lot of bullshit and suffering that I find
Yeah.
myself experiencing too. And it's like, damn, seems like the antithesis of luck.
Yeah.
And I don't know. And, when I start thinking along those karmic lines, I'm like, man, I'm not sure how this scale is like who's weighing it, and if somebody's
Yeah.
pressing down on one side.
It's very, very complex. I read a book called The Law of Karma, and it goes so deep down these rabbit holes, and it explains it in a far out way. But like that one thing I wanted to add on that, I literally believe that you can will things into existence. You can manifest things. I think that even your subconscious, I believe, can put things into the ether.
Yeah.
Because they've done like experiments with people that'll actually play piano, right? And then they'll have another person imagining they're playing the same exact thing. They'll take the brain scans and they'll be identical. So it's like they're literally doing the same thing. So I think your imagination and things can bring things into fruition, or you can manifest things. And, it all comes down to personal beliefs and
Sure.
like what you think. But it's like, I truly believe. I've had my own experiences where I felt like I did put things into the ether and it actually manifests. Because if you believe in something enough, I feel like it can become a reality.
Which do you think is more powerful, that the power of belief or the power of taking actions that could then contribute to some type of material change directly, if only through repeated actions?
I think they kind of can both go hand in hand, but I think ultimately that the action to reaction thing is pretty powerful.
Is the most important, is what you're saying.
Because even with the universe coming into creation, however it was done, that was one big action, whether it was the Big Bang or whatever.
Yeah, we're
And
lucky
that
to even be here.
Yeah, just that caused this whole series. I mean, think about the planets and like how everything revolves around each other. We revolve around the sun. The moon revolves around us. There's all
Yeah.
these things and these alignments, and it gets so. I mean, we could go so deep.
We
on
are
it.
already really
Yeah.
deep on
No,
that.
yeah, but it's
You're
one of the
welcome.
things-
I want to go a little bit deeper.
You wanna go
and
a
I
little
want to ask
deeper?
James something.
Okay.
So when something lucky happens to you, do you feel? Are you happy, or are you like, dude, what's the catch? When's the other shoe dropping? You know,
You
like,
think there's got to be
like,
some-
all right, something good happened. So when does all the bad shit come? Do you ever feel like that? Like,
I don't know if I have that many amazingly lucky things happen to me that would.
or just anything good that happens. You're like,
Elicit
okay,
that
what's
kinda-
the catch here? You know? Do you ever feel like that?
I think I'm always, oftentimes looking at things with a kind of critical lens, and that entails, I guess, for me, thinking about what the worst thing that could happen, because then I can try to take actions to
Yeah.
prevent that from happening, and sometimes I think that's successful.
Okay.
Sure.
So I think there's some benefit to that, but maybe there's also some drawback.
You're not exactly a pessimist. You're prepared.
I would say I'm a realist, a
optopessimist.
critical realist, and a pragmatist. And
I used to call it an optopessimist.
yeah.
An optopessimist.
Yeah, I'm pretty oxymoronic in many ways, so I think that hits a nail on the head.
Well, thinking that, like, what's the catch, though, that you're kind of setting yourself up for, like, if something bad happens, I feel like it's because you questioned it. I
You're
think
al-
you should,
But
You're
don't
already
bad
bringing it
things
in, is what-
inevitably
yeah.
happen? at some point in time.
Well,
Sometimes I think.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
when bad things happen to me, I'm never like, so when's the good thing
Yeah,
happening,
no, yeah.
baby? Here comes
Well,
the good
that's-
stuff because
that's
something
human
bad happened to
nature,
me.
though, you know?
But when the good stuff happens, I'm like, all right,
yeah.
like looking around my.
Do you think there's
What's coming?
Yeah, human nature. Do you think there's like an evolutionary basis for that?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I think things are always changing. Things are always evolving in so many levels. I mean, it's always. I mean, you got to think about it. There's like this inertia. Things are always. There's a momentum. Things are always going. Like even after we die, things will go and go and go, and who knows
Everything's
where.
in a
Yeah.
vibration, pretty
Yeah,
much.
yeah, frequency, vibration, and it's just this. It's like like I said with the universe. It's just it felt the need to just
Be.
yeah, to exist and to go, and it goes and it goes.
What about you, Joel?
Yeah.
We all said our
Dude,
like,
Yeah.
I'm
is
gonna
there
re-
any
I'm
room?
gonna-
Is there
I'm-
any room left for your
No,
opinion
no.
here?
There's. I think there is. So
All right,
like,
let's hear yours.
first of all, I appreciate everybody's perspective on it because there's not really an easy way.
you
I
just
think
threw us
anybody-
into the.
No, it's okay
To the
though.
void.
Like that's one of the beauties of this podcast is I feel like we're just everyday dudes, and we just want to. We're just thinking about this stuff. But the first thing that comes to mind when I think of luck is probably what a lot of people think of as like people who win the lottery, right? You think those people are the luckiest people in the world because they just won millions, if not $1 billion, right? And you
Okay.
think, one out of hundreds of millions of tickets sold and you got the one or you and a few other people got the one. Like that's the first thing that comes to mind. But I think luck is a lot of different things. When I think of luck, I think a lot of us will be easier to determine or define other people on whether we think they're lucky rather than us and how we think we're lucky. So okay, I'll just mention my friend Roddy. Okay, he's one
The
of the
Rod
lucky. Yeah, he's one of the luckiest people from my perspective. I go to the casino with him. He's winning money at the roulette table. This guy won a few years ago a Corvette Stingray off of some like
Random
That's one of my
raffle.
favorite cars.
random raffle thing. Literally like this 1970 something.
Oh,
Really, really nice car. And he's always kind of had that luck. But what I see is the surface level. I see the things that are transparent and easy, like. But I don't see all the other stuff behind the scenes, the things he struggles with.
and he
Does
had-
he still consider himself lucky?
Yeah, but
I think
he
I
also
don't think he
had
does
a
as much
very
as other
unlucky-
people do.
He had a very unlucky moment too.
He
in
did
his
have
life.
an unlucky moment with I mean I don't want to go into his personal life
Yeah.
too much here, but what I'm getting at is like I view him as lucky because I've seen these things, but I don't know all the other things that go on in his life. Maybe he doesn't define himself.
Maybe he looks at
Exactly,
you as like
exactly.
you're lucky. you
Maybe
know? Yeah.
I think a lot of people
Grass is always greener, as they
it
say.
is. That's what a lot of people.
But at the
that's what a
same
lot of people
time,
think.
like I don't
Yeah.
know if that. I mean, there's obviously some truth to that, or it rings true to us, right? But at the same time, it does seem like whether it's luck from the jump, like from the get go, just
Yeah.
being born into higher socioeconomic status, or
Sure.
it just happened to be born in a place where you're going to be exposed to certain things that are going to benefit you later on and provide confer some kind of advantage. It seems like that's real, right?
Yeah.
And it's hard to deny that. And granted, we could try to parse it out, like an impossible task. Like, to what extent, are they unlucky in maybe some other small unseen areas? But then I think the question becomes, how impactful are those other small unseen areas?
Yep.
And how impactful are the other things that are very transparent, maybe sometimes superficial, but maybe sometimes also just that that omnipresent or that significant, right? That it's obvious to somebody. Oh, like you're getting like money just coming to you. Or like, I remember one time when I was maybe in grad school and I was having a conversation with somebody, and he had a pretty funny comment about how a friend of his, or maybe a friend of a friend, mentioned that, oh, like I just got this job offer today. Like, who are these people getting these job offers? Like, they're people just throwing job offers at you. Like, that never happens to me.
Yeah, like exactly. I did watch something because I wanted to be a little better prepared for this conversation because I knew this was going to be pretty deep. So I watched a video on YouTube that kind of scientifically explains what luck is, and one of the probably easiest ways to explain it is every time you do something, like let's say you play a game, right? Video games, right? You have games that you play really well, and then you have games that you play really, really bad. But on average, you like kind of hit this area. So what I'm getting at is the more you do things, the more opportunities you're going to have to be lucky or to excel or, to be perceived as good or whatever the term is. So like the more, okay, so I'm going to go back to gambling again, because that tends to be something people often associate with luck is how good you are, how much you win. But like, how many times have you heard about somebody winning money from a bet? And then think about how many times somebody's told you how much money they lost from bets.
I was gonna say,
you're almost never going to hear about all the money they lost.
Me and
You're
Blake have a
only-
buddy.
Yeah.
He won the Monopoly thing.
millionaire.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
And he also lost it all.
Yes.
But didn't he take the
and
payout
that's what I
every
was gonna-
year? Like every year?
No, he took a lump sum.
Oh.
But also that when you were talking earlier, like about a lot of the lottery winners and how lucky they are, usually it ends up very,
it's
very
awful.
bad. It ended up horrible for him. Worse
Like
than
not only him. I'm just talking
Yeah.
anybody who wins a
Yeah.
large sum of money.
Yeah.
It ends up ending bad. So there's more a percentage. I would say, what articles I've read and things I've seen, it seems like 80% of the people who win,
It's a
it
super
ends
high
up
number.
bad.
Yeah.
It's a small percentage to win, but the percentage of people who win and it goes very bad in their life is very high.
Right. I think that also happens sometimes in the inverse. Did any of you all see the movie Wonder or read the book?
No, I
I
haven't
don't
seen
think
it.
so.
Okay.
When did that come out?
It's a couple years back.
Okay. Who to have in it?
Oh,
I can look it up.
yeah. Do that. The book was authored by Palacios. I think it's R.J. Palacios.
While he's looking it up, just tell us what you're
And
going to say.
yeah, so in the book, it's not in the movie, but I read the book because actually a synchronicity like experience in a classroom where
Oh, I
there was
remember seeing this. Okay.
there was a student who asked if I'd seen the movie, and it didn't ring a bell, or if I'd read the book and it didn't ring a bell, and then another student was like, "Well, I have the book right here. You should read it." It's two students that had no interaction other than that. And so I did read it on a plane ride, actually. Probably, I think, coming back to Illinois last time I visited, or maybe this last fall. And in the book, it's about this kid, Augie, who is born with a facial disfigurement, very severe facial disfigurement. And the author takes these different perspectives from Augie and then from some of his friends, his family members and the like. And there's a friend of his sister who's quoted in the book, and she says something to the effect of like, the universe wasn't kind to Augie. Like essentially he wasn't lucky, right? But and he does go through a lot of hell. Nevertheless, at the end of the book, like everybody's celebrating him, and he seems like he kind of, to some extent, comes out on top and is pretty pleased with life. And so, even though he's dealt this really shitty hand, nevertheless, he ends up, he's dealt a really unlucky hand. He ends up kind of lucky as a result, which is kind of a beautiful thing.
Yeah. So it's got Owen Wilson in it.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
Julia Roberts.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
Jacob
Really? I've never
Tremblay.
heard
I've
of it.
never heard of it, but I remember seeing the movie, like the movie poster,
What's the
because the
poster
kid
look
had
like?
he had the like space helmet
I
on.
don't remember
Okay.
that.
I didn't watch it, but that's interesting.
Wow. Wow. Oh, wow.
See, that's all about perspectives right there too. Like you were saying, Joel. But
Yeah.
like you might think that person's lucky, but from their view, like our buddy at one point might have thought, "Wow, I'm lucky."
Yeah.
But then now he's it caused a lot of unlucky
Trauma in his life.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Would you consider that luck that guy said you should watch this movie and then the dude had the book?
Low-key look, I guess,
Yeah.
because I
Like, what are the
enjoyed the
chances?
book.
Like, it's just
Yeah.
like, oh, and then you enjoyed it. So
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't over.
maybe that's what you get, the little trinkets of luck
Yeah,
throughout time,
exactly.
and you
I do
you
seem
never
to
get the big
accumulate
luck.
those. Yeah, the
Well,
big
that
lucks.
goes back
The,
to-
the big luck has proved elusive so far.
He's still working on that
Yeah.
one. Well, let's kind of move into our next topic. Just this may be shorter, depending on if you guys have any of these. But do you have any secret talents that you don't tell a lot of people about? And this will all kind of tie into some more later conversations with the luck and the talents and everything. Gosh, I'm trying to think of like a secret talent. I can type really fast. Is that a?
Can you?
Yeah,
I,
that's-
know
I can
that's
type
talent.
really fast.
That is a good talent.
How fast?
Probably like 120, 130 words per minute.
Ooh,
Is that
wow.
fast?
We should.
I
No,
think
that's
it's pretty
fast. That's.
Yeah.
I would love to do a Mario teaches typing competition.
Are you
'Cause
pretty fast
I'm
too?
pretty good.
Oh,
I
wow.
took
Doctor in the
keyboarding.
house, baby.
Keyboarding-
The
He's-
challenge
yeah,
is
dude, I'm
down.
not, dude.
No,
should-
I make errors though. So I took keyboarding in
Yeah.
ninth grade at Bond County Community Unit number 2 high school.
Yeah.
And they taught you the QWERTY, UEOP, the proper form.
Mhm.
And I remember a friend was like, I can type faster than you, but I was like, well, I'm gonna learn the correct way and not look and not hunt and peck just
yeah.
with agility. And so I did, and I'm so glad that I did. I guess I was lucky. Right? And now I think I can type about between 80 and 100 words per minute with minimal errors. So I might not
I'm
be
screwing up a lot at 110,
Okay.
120, but that's what I remember from like one of the like you can go on you can just Google like keyboarding games, and there's like keyboarding racer games is what they are. Like so like you can compete against people out there. I don't know. I feel like I'm
I
pretty
remember
fast.
playing a keyboard, like taking a keyboarding class, and I think it was in junior high, and it was through Mr. P that like Paulie
yeah.
and those guys talked
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
And that's when I played the keyboarding game. And was that 8th grade? The math teacher, we call him Mr. P on this podcast.
Yeah, that was junior high.
Yeah,
8th
yeah,
grade.
yeah.
8th grade.
Yeah. But that's where I remember doing keyboarding. I don't remember how good I was though.
I work on a keyboard all day. I'm on a
Right.
computer. All
Yeah,
day.
I
You do the same
Now,
thing.
right,
now
yeah.
I pretty much do it without looking, but I'm not.
You still have to
I'm not
look?
thinking about it.
Really?
Yeah, and sometimes I have to look. But if I tried to play the game, that it would all screw up.
The only thing I really struggle with is when I got to put a number in there. But I'm real
yeah.
good with
Yeah.
a number pad. So which that'll slow you down. If you want to get fast, you got to be able to know where they are. But for the most part, I can do.
I got real good with
My
the
money's
number
on
pad.
you if we
You think
if we
so?
compete. Yeah, unless I'm lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might get lucky.
Depends on your karma. No, I was kidding.
Well, I got good with a number pad because I worked at a hotel, and then you'd program the keys. So it was only a number pad. So I got real good at doing the number pad.
Yeah. I'm also really good at Excel, but that's not really. That's not a secret. A lot of people know that I do that. That's
And I used to count money.
work with
I
data
forgot
a lot
about
and a
when
lot
I
of
used to
things that I
count
do.
money for a living, and I was good with the calculator.
Yeah. Well, you
the
when you
grocery
worked
store.
at the grocery
Yeah.
store. Yeah.
Joel, when you say you're good at Excel, can you provide any details or elaborate?
Yes, I would love to.
Excel.
You're gonna be sorry you asked about that. Well, I started I'll call it my technical career path, working and trying to get better at Excel. So I'll start with like the basics, like learning functions, building complex formulas, then making things into tables, using pivot tables. I know how to write VBA macros. I know how to format Excel and I can do a ton of really cool stuff with it.
Do you prefer Microsoft Excel or Google Sheets?
I prefer Excel. Google Sheets is fine. I just feel like there's more you can do with Microsoft Excel, and all the work that I ever do is are usually in a Microsoft environment, and they just
Do you feel
play
like?
well
Do you
with
feel
each
like
other.
you prefer Excel is because you started there?
I'm 100%. That's
Like,
what it is.
yeah.
I've used Google Sheets.
Mm-hmm.
It is a fine comparison. I think you can pay for like a upgraded version of it that probably does the same thing as Excel.
Does LibreOffice, have you ever dabbled with that?
No, I
The
haven't.
freeware?
No, I
Okay.
haven't messed with that.
Yeah,
Have
I'm
you?
curious. No, not. I mean, I've used their alternative to Word, but haven't messed with their alternative to Excel. So
Yeah. Well, so I don't want to go down my career path too terribly much, but it started with Excel, and then I just would get curious. Like people would ask me, can we do this? Can we? Because we had these tools where I used to work, Excel based tools, and people would be like, well, can it create an email? Can it do this calculation for me? Can it do all these things? I'm like, I think so, and it was just a matter of, okay, here's my real talent. I'm really good at Googling and YouTubing information to get better.
That's what it's all about,
I
man.
built my entire. I have no degree,
Yeah.
0 degree, and I'm in an IT related field. I build databases. I write workflows. I build apps. Nothing crazy. I really don't know how to code, but I do all these things for the company I currently work for. And what's funny is somebody told me one day, like, where'd you go to college at? I'm like, I
The
didn't.
internet.
Yeah.
I was like,
Excel.
I said the college of YouTube or Google and
Yeah.
YouTube, and they're like, that'd be really funny if you had a diploma that said that.
It'd be cool
Yeah.
if you can get a certificate, like take a test.
No, I have. Well,
You know?
you can get certified in all
Yeah.
those things. Absolutely. So we were in my company's supply closet. I was getting some extra paper.
What
or
were you doing
something.
in there, huh?
Oh well, you know, wouldn't you like to know? But I found like these like certificate papers, and I was like, oh, I can probably make this look like a degree. And after the podcast, I'll show you guys what it looks like. But it's cool. It says University of Google and YouTube.
Oh, wow.
And
I
so-
want one of those,
and I
dude.
and I
Yeah.
signed it all 3 times, and I put in there like it's got all the old English on it, but like one of the parts says like this is definitely a fake degree, like it's
Yeah.
made up. Like I used, yeah. But anyway, so
do you
those are,
consider yourself academically inclined?
boy, well, that's a loaded question. Do I? I think I like to feel like I'm open minded, and I like to learn a lot of things. But yes, I guess that's probably the best way to answer it.
Would you like to take college courses in programming or anything that might be useful in your career? And do you think you would benefit from it? And would you have benefited more? Could you have benefited more if you took college courses geared toward what it is you're doing now?
Well, I there's no doubt in my mind if I took some more college courses, I would learn a lot. I mean, it would be great.
You could request more money too, probably.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Here's my big I get real hesitant about spending money, and then
Yeah.
college is
Oh, yeah.
not always
No,
expensive.
What
but-
gets me is time and money.
yeah.
It's like I want to know,
At this
but
point
it's
in
like
my
it's time
career,
and money.
if I made that decision, is it in my current role? Is it going to help me? I would want to hear back from my employer. Yes, if you get this, we're going to give
We're
you,
gonna hook you up.
or we'll
Yeah.
pay for it. Even like
Yeah.
that would be
Oh, yeah.
that would be a little bit more worth it if they paid for it. But I'm not going to tell. I don't want. This is not life advice.
Mhm.
I think in my personal experience, I've been able to learn more on my own for the things that I specifically needed through Google, YouTube, and people that I knew were proficient in those things. So I don't know. I'm not trying to say that people should absolutely go to college if their profession or whatever they want to do to learn to better their life. If they can do that through a college or a university, that's phenomenal.
And there is community college too, right? And the
Absolutely.
classes are-
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there's even like one around here is Kaskaskia, which is
Yeah.
it's a nice community.
There's even
college.
online ones.
And
Like,
I was
a lot
actually
of
contemplating
employers,
not
yeah.
taking not
Yeah.
Kaskaskia, but in SoCal taking a course in Python programming, just because I mean, I can do extracurricular learning for sure, and I think I really leaned into that when I was working on a PhD in grad school. But I think I do excel in a formal academic environment,
Yeah.
and there's certain constraints that are placed on you, and the what it is you're supposed to do is somewhat clear cut, and I think that helps me just because that way I'm focused.
Yes.
And so I think that would be a benefit. But I did have a friend who was like, I could just teach you this if
Yeah.
you wanted to spend several hours on a weekend. And I'm like,
Sure.
I don't know which.
Yeah.
And you could also just watch YouTube.
Yeah.
It's true, but although I do like whether it's a friend or in a college classroom, although some of it's online,
Hands-on type stuff.
Yeah, that, but then also the interaction with
I
people.
gotcha.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
appreciate that. Like that's something that
co-creating knowledge.
I have like trouble with school academics, like paying attention, like
Me too. Puts me to
It's-
sleep.
very hard. But like when it comes down to doing things, like if I wanted to learn it on my own and had the passion, looked it up, I could teach
Yeah.
myself.
I
Is
think
that
you
one
ha-
of your secret talents?
I think it is.
I wouldn't call that a talent. I would call that a cripple.
You think so?
Yeah, yeah.
No.
I just think it's just the way you learn.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's the way I learn, but it doesn't fit in society's puzzle piece.
But it nevertheless enables you to learn
Yeah.
quite
Yeah,
a bit
yeah,
and
yeah,
do
yeah.
quite a bit.
Yeah.
I think there's different types of people that learn different ways. You know, some people
yeah.
are better at learning like by themselves or like that, and then some people excel in school
Yeah.
and academia. It's like I always thought I've been a mixture of both. I
Yeah,
like
me
a
too,
whole
me too.
plethora of learning, like because I like different angles on things.
Oh, you get in, like, you know so many things. Like,
Well, I
He
mean,
could just go. He could go for an
no,
hour
like, Blake is so
without
intelligent.
any
about
interruption
well,
from
no,
us.
certain
let's not
things.
get
It's
carried
We should
crazy.
do a
Like-
special episode of Blake.
Just Blake.
Yeah.
We could do
I'm
some. That's
blushing.
actually a pretty good idea. We could do like interviews where we just do one-on-one, where one person's interviewing
Yeah, we
another
could do
person.
that.
yeah,
Just bottle that idea. I like that.
Yeah,
we
no,
should do
yeah.
that sometime. So okay,
A
keep going.
lot of people don't know this about me, but, like, I didn't pass high school.
You didn't graduate?
No, I didn't graduate. And people remember me walking across the stage somehow.
really.
But I did
Wow.
not. I did not. Like, I did not
That's
walk
didn't know
because I
that.
didn't think I deserved it. They offered to, like, let me walk and then come back another semester. I wasn't going to be a super senior. Basically, during school, I just went and do homework because when I
Yeah.
left school, I was done. I
Yeah.
don't know why. I just couldn't do homework. Didn't want to. Didn't have the interest. I wanted to go
Yeah,
do what I wanted to live my
whatever
life.
you wanted to do.
that's kind of how it was too.
Yeah, but I would pass all my tests. Well, it doesn't matter if you pass all your tests. You got to do your homework, and that's the way school's structured. Well, when school was over, I didn't go back. I just went to the GED place, took my test, and passed and got my GED. But I just feel like I learned differently than other people.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think there's value in all of it
I-
too. Yeah,
I know.
I think
you-
Blake's very similar in that
I
sense.
also think we
Yeah.
ask a lot out of young children
Oh
to
my gosh.
be chained to a desk all day. And, like, I'm not totally unlike you, Branson, but I took advantage of study hall like nobody's business.
Yeah.
And I did, homework when I needed to. And like I said, when I got into grad school, like, I'd leaned into that sort of thing. Like, it was because also at that level, you have much more input in what you're studying. And,
Yeah.
but no, I totally sympathize, and I
Yeah.
think I think your experience is not uncommon, and
Yeah.
probably begs some reconsideration of our school system.
yeah,
And I'm like the biggest public school advocate. I should.
Well, it would be like where I work now or where Blake works now. Like, we do work all day, and then we get off work and then go do some more of the same work. Like, it sucks. Like, it just sucked to me.
I think high school. It's just like it's
The
like
only thing I liked about high school was hanging the
yeah.
people.
The camaraderie.
Like,
yeah,
like
Yeah.
most of the time, the only reason I went to school was to talk to people.
to hang out, people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
Well,
is-
but it's like what I was gonna say was
look where that's got me. I'm pulling rubber for a living.
hey, you know
Hey,
what?
No,
man.
but you
You
have
got a
great friends,
podcast.
right?
I got
Like,
great friends,
you-
and I make good
that
money. but
socialization worked really
Yeah.
well,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you have this awesome place
Yeah,
that
look
we're
at-
hosting
look
this
at-
podcast.
Yeah,
from.
dude.
Yeah.
We're here to.
it got me somewhere. Look, it
Yeah.
all made sense.
Yeah.
Dude, we're glad you. We wouldn't be here if we weren't.
No, yeah.
For where
for
you
real.
are.
Yeah.
So
You've been lucky, Branson.
you very lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm a lucky
What?
guy.
I know you have a secret talent that not a lot of people know about, and it's just that you're creative. I'm not going to
Yeah.
get too detailed.
Oh,
Well,
about
I was
it, but
about
you're-
to say, Branson, he doesn't give himself enough credit. He is a damn
Super
good
creative.
artist and
Yes.
a musician. And, like, it blows my mind. Like, he showed me stuff the other night, and I'm just like, dude, you got so much good stuff. Like you really are an artist. You really are.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You don't give yourself enough credit.
I just
man.
don't feel like I could call myself an artist, man.
But that's an artist. That's a real artist. I'm serious. I don't know. Like you're saying I'm intelligent and stuff. It's like you really are very
I see
creative.
what you're doing. I got you, and so now you're
Well,
getting me back.
But
all
no,
right?
like the
where's the
videos
bad
you
news?
do.
It's coming soon,
Yeah, here it comes. Though.
Yeah, you're a good artist. But
Well, you've always done cool stuff with videos too.
Yeah.
Like you'll do weird videos or skits and stuff. It's like you have a knack for creating,
I feel like I've lost a large portion of that part of my personality, though.
but it's there
over the
though.
past few years.
You didn't lose it. You just haven't
Yeah,
used it in a
you got to
while.
rekindle.
And
it.
maybe it's being channeled in some different ways,
Yeah.
like this
Yeah.
podcast,
Oh, yeah,
for
that's-
example.
Yeah, maybe. It's,
This was a brainchild of me and Branson's
and Etchison.
and Jason's
Yeah.
a while back, and I
And
rem-
probably Blake, too.
Well, I talked
Blake
about
wanted
it a
to do
long time
podcast.
ago.
that's true. Okay, so I can't say that's all.
No, but
there's-
you
it's
guys
it's
put it
it's
into
a
motion.
culmination of a lot of different things.
But you guys
But-
actually.
But like I've seen Branson when he's creating, and I've seen him whenever he's not, and you can tell like the vibe is down when he's not doing something with creating. So at least with
Yep.
this gives him and all of us an opportunity to create together in something that's easy. Like you don't have to have much skill to get in front of a camera in front of
So
a
you're
microphone.
saying I don't have skill, man?
No, I'm saying it doesn't have a huge bar of entry
Yeah, yeah.
just to get in. Just to
well, you
to
just
have a
got to
conversation.
hit record.
yeah.
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 So James, what kind of like talents do you maybe have that maybe not a lot of people know about that you're willing to share?
I know
Yeah.
one, and I don't know if he doesn't say it, I'm gonna say it for him after he gets done.
Okay.
Do you want to say it now? Or do you
No,
want
no, I want you to go ahead.
He wants you to see if you got it.
To preface this, I will say that if I am aware of any talent, which I think I'm largely lacking in across the board, then I will maximize that at the to the utmost.
Yeah.
More than anybody, and I do think that I'm somewhat of a grinder in that I will grind away to try to refine whatever like a sliver of talent might be there. If I find it enjoyable, which if you excel at something, you often do, right?
Right.
Or even if just a little bit. One thing recently, and it's not clandestine, but I don't know how many if the podcast world knows about it, but I've been waxing poetic recently, and I realized that if I dedicate the kind of time and energy and effort to that I do to other things, whether it's writing or scholarship or preparing lecture, trying to provide meaningful feedback to students on something. If I dedicate that time and energy to it, then because I have a credit to the folks who've influenced me, whether it's like people in the hip hop genre or whether it's like a Bob Dylan or Leonard Cohen.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I'm able to take some amalgamation of that and add my own unique spin to it. And I'm pretty good with working with words at this point, relatively decent. And so I've been, writing some poetry, and I think some of it's okay. And so I don't know if everybody knows about that, but
I'd like
That's
to see
cool,
some
though.
of
No,
it,
I've heard
actually.
some, and it's really good.
No,
Oh,
I want to
like
see
it.
some, and I might want to steal some,
No, it's definitely
steal away. It
like
is-
for a song or something.
no.
you know?
It'd be a great song.
there's no copyright.
You might have to be on there though.
And aside from that, I think it is the grinding, and maybe let me recast that, because it's not that I think I can outwork everybody, although I do
You
have.
probably challenge yourself.
Well, you don't
to
become
try
a
to.
doctor
try
if you don't
to-
outwork
Yeah.
a lot
But-
of people, man.
But then, in addition to that, it's also just perseverance. Like, throw that shit at me, and I know I've done it before. I'll find some way to get through it. Like, what choice do I have?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think there's some fortitude that's been cultivated as a result of doing that enough, and I guess that qualifies as a talent of some sort.
Of course it does.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, that's something that just comes natural to you.
Yeah.
Like, even if you aren't, it sounds like you just work really hard, and and you're just like willing to do what it takes to accomplish the thing that you're working toward, which that in itself is not everybody can do
No,
that.
yeah, that's hard. It's
That's a
hard
good
for
way
me.
to put it, because I would readily admit that there are some people who I think have a more rigid and maybe even disciplined work ethic than I do. I don't know if they're working more or harder over the long durée,
Right.
but they're like, I'm gonna get up at 4:30 a.m. and start this, and then and you know that works really well for some people. So
Mhm.
not a knock on that at all. In fact, the exact opposite. That is not me exactly. Like,
Right.
I have to keep some schedule, but I also allow for some exercise of freedom and creativity, and I like to do different things too.
Yeah.
And so that's what allows me to then, to the degree that I can, I guess, focus and put my head down.
Yeah. So
You want to know?
yeah, I want to know what you thought.
Dude, he's got a jump shot.
He's got a jump
Dude,
shot.
this guy can make
There
shot.
we go.
Me and he sent me and Blake a video. He wanted us to like edit it and add music to it, which we never did. But he was making like shot after shot after shot, not missing. Which
Yeah, you're very
maybe
athletic.
like there was some different cuts, but there were a lot of instances where it's like 10 shots in a row, which is very impressive to me. So he's got a good jump shot.
Yeah.
Does it look clean? Did you watch it?
No,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
ugly.
I know I have a terrible form.
I didn't know. Oh,
No,
it's awful form,
it's,
but
no, it's ugly. Like I even told Blake when we were sitting there, probably because sometimes I'm a little too honest. But
Good rotation on the ball, though.
Like-
Always good rotation on the ball.
obviously, like whatever he's doing works because it goes in. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
I'm
You know what I'm
nasty
saying?
from the mid range, or at least I can be very, very streaky in a good way.
sure.
And I used to be better at shooting from deep, but I don't have the fast twitch muscle fibers have they aren't with me anymore. And so it's a little harder, and so my form changes a little bit, and so I'm less consistent. But put me within about 15 feet, especially if there isn't a taller defender towering over me, then yeah, I can knock down some shots.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. See that I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Of course, I haven't seen James in 20 some years, so yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
knowledge of James is somewhat limited. But
yeah,
nevertheless.
yeah. But no, that's cool though. What about you, Blake? You got some secret talents?
I don't know if I have really anything that's secret. I guess there's some things people don't know about me, but it's like, I guess one of my biggest talents as of late is really diving into different techniques of like spiritual acts, like self-inquiry or meditation and yoga. I'm pretty sure everybody knows that though. But like I've put a lot of time into researching cultures, and like people call them mythologies or whatever, or religion, but it's like I've really somehow have this knack for like tuning to certain things.
Yeah.
And that's I put a lot of time and energy into it, and I think it just feels like something that feels right to me. It feels like it fits like a glove.
Yeah.
Like I found a puzzle piece that fits, and it's like I've came up. There's so much stuff I want to write. I want to write a book on philosophy and all this stuff. I feel like everybody has some value and has something in them if they really look at it. Like we're talking now, all our secret talents and everything. And it's like the one thing that I think if I could ever gift to the world, and I'm not saying this in a cocky way or anything, but it's like I feel like I could try to help somebody find some love and meaning in their life and dig deep. I like to encourage people to dig deep in themselves and really, it's like, what is life? Like, who are we really? You know, like I'm always asking these questions, and I was talking to James earlier, like I've had these moments where I've felt this, like, you can call it whatever you want, like a divine feeling of unity with everything. Like I really feel like we all are really connected, and that feeling of non-duality, of oneness. Like I think there's something to that. I think we all really do consist of the same substance that came from the concrescence of everything. I don't know. That's not really. I guess that's not really like a secret
I would
talent.
say
or
that's a
anything,
talent
but
because I can't
That was a really-
necessarily do it. You know,
I
like,
think what it is like it's the ability. So talent is just another word for an ability, right? Like a natural
Yeah.
ability. So what I would interpret that as, Blake, is that you like an open-mindedness and a desire to be curious about life and the things that define it, and the the other cultures that study and
Yeah.
getting their perspectives. Like that's
and a propensity to inquire into all.
that's
all
huge.
that.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're not just like stuck in this is how I want to believe, and
Yeah.
I don't care about what anything else is.
Yeah.
Like you want to learn more.
Yeah, I want to dig deep, and that's what I like to get out of people, and that's what I love about this podcast is that like I like people to be thought provoking. It's like I see like people, everybody is who they are, like
Right,
I'm
right.
Blake, I do this, I work this, or you're Joel, I'm good at typing. James, I got a good jump shot. Branson, I'm an artist and don't want to admit it, but it's like
Oh, come
I
on,
like
man. You're picking on me again.
No, I'm just kidding. But it's like I like to with people. I think this is one of the knacks I have is I want people to dig deep in themselves and really get to like ask these questions.
Blake, you should write that book.
Absolutely, he should.
I would love to.
I
I
will
just don't know where
assist
to
if
start though.
need be.
But that would be awesome. Yeah.
Man, well, that's cool. We got a lot of talents. Maybe some people didn't know about us, so that's good. Kind of moving into, let's talk a little bit about hard work versus natural talent. What is more impactful in your opinion? And we'll start with James on this one.
Joel, if I'm not mistaken, when you defined talent when you were talking to Blake, you used the word natural, and I'm not. And I think that is our natural inclination to think of talent that way, but I don't think that talent has to be something that's innate. I think it can be cultivated through whether discipline or hard work or just perseverance.
Some
or
people would
just
some people have kind of said like talent versus skill, and they think skill is more like the what you've worked toward, and talent is more like, I guess, if you gave two 10-year-old kids who had never played basketball a basketball and had them try to play a game of horse against
Right.
each other, one was better than the other, maybe they would have more
Talent.
natural
Yeah,
talent.
like
That's kind of what I'm
I know. I
look
no.
at it
That's
as.
that's legit. Do you think we would still use that term if we're thinking about like 25-year-olds and we're like look at or 20-year-olds maybe?
Which a lot of it's always sports people, like
Yeah.
like athletes and stuff. I think it's a word people like to associate with it, but it's probably just
Yeah.
skill
Yeah.
or ability, natural or not. Well, again, natural ability is just another way to say talent. But like, I think what you're trying to say is like,
can
we,
talent be? No, I guess this is a question. Can talent not just be maximized, but can be expanded? In your view?
Ooh, wow. You're kind of thinking like it's limited, and then after that, it's whatever else you add to it.
Yeah, so be limitless like the movie.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Or like maybe you're born with certain innate abilities, but those are pretty malleable, maybe to some degree. And I mean, especially if you're
Yeah.
thinking about basketball.
Well, that's okay. That's an easy thing for people to understand.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah, and so if say there are some people who are more talented at shooting than others, just naturally, like without any instruction, right? But could somebody who is I don't know, like even media, it doesn't matter where on the spectrum, but do you think it's possible for them to take that to a whole nother level with the right type of training and assistance and support, et cetera, et cetera?
so a great athlete, and again, just because it's an easy analogy,
Yeah.
a great athlete isn't great only because of them being born. It's a giant recipe of a lot of things that have happened, and part of it is how much does this person want to work hard? How much does this person enjoy this sport? How much are they playing this sport? Okay, so you got the like what you can do on your own. The next part is like things that you have no control over. Are you going to be playing? When athletes start playing, they're playing in either wherever they live, their geographic boundaries, right? Like if you play in a smaller rural area, are you going to have as much success as somebody who plays in a city? And when you're
Or be exposed to the
or
competition.
exposed to the
that could-
competition, the
Yeah.
coaching, the time in which you play. Okay, this sounds kind of maybe a little philosophical with it, but like you could take somebody like Michael Jordan and then there's all. Okay, I'm going to back up a little bit. I'm not a huge basketball expert, but there's always the big, who's the GOAT? LeBron, Kobe,
or
or Michael,
or
right?
Michael,
And if
I'm
you
a
have-
huge basketball person, but I'm not gonna be pretentious about
Okay,
it. So I'm,
thank
I'm
you.
very
I-
curious.
I appreciate
love
that.
everybody's basketball input.
when I see like I watch reels and it'll be like clips of interviews of people and their opinions on who is and who isn't the GOAT. And a lot of times it's not always just the number of championships or whatever. They talk about the rules and the style of play in the 90s were more physical, and they had to work harder to get 2 points. And now, again, I'm not a huge NBA fan, but I keep hearing like a lot of points are like Steph Curry, like he just drains threes, like it's easier for them, or they know how. I don't know what it is, but
Just
like
the style of the game change.
it's just it's
And it of course takes skill to be able to do that.
Absolutely.
As much as I think Jordan is the GOAT, but yes.
But people will say like some of the players or teams nowadays wouldn't do as good as it was in the 90s
Right,
because of the
right.
rules, or maybe they say there was more like that's another thing they always talk about, like oh, they were playing against way more all-star type players. I mean, who knows, everybody's just got an opinion on it, right? But before MJ was even a thing, Magic was the biggest, or
Right.
Larry was the biggest, or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, or
Wilt or Bill Russell.
Bill
yeah.
Russell, or whoever.
Or
Like
Yeah.
Oscar Robertson or something like that.
Oh, Bill Russell had, if you're going on
11
champions,
rings, yeah.
he
I
had
know he's got like
11,
11, right, or
Yeah.
12.
Yeah,
11, I think.
11.
And it was all with like the 50 Celtics or something like that. But
I would say, like, as far as, like, now you have more offense.
yeah,
There's not
Yeah,
much,
I mean,
there's
the
not much
league
defense.
has changed to emphasize
Back
offense.
when, like, Jordan was playing, way more defense. Like, and he was, like, an offensive player and also a very good
he got
defensive
defensive player of the year, I think, once or
Yep.
twice,
Yeah.
or
Yep.
didn't he?
Really?
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to say was regarding I'll watch clips of one of my favorite. I wasn't alive to watch him, but Larry Bird and the Celtics from the 80s were so much fun to watch. All the crazy, like, he was a good team player. He would get the
Sure.
ball to his team and enable. And I know he was a huge shit talker too, but like the NBA doesn't have games that feel like that today, like trick plays or like gotcha type.
There's not
things.
as much tenacity.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. I don't know, but like I
Like I
wish
said, there's not as much defense as before. Like,
It's a different
back then. It was
game.
like it's a
Yeah.
different game, and that's okay. There can be goats of different eras.
Yeah.
I think
just-
players are more offensively skilled. They just have to be in
Yeah.
today's NBA
Yeah.
game. I mean, because the 3-point shot is emphasized to the degree that it is, right? Because of the influence of analytics and statistics and all the rest. That, like, if you aren't, if you're a small forward or even sometimes a 4 or 5, like, the expectation is you should still be able to knock down
Yeah.
that 3. Whereas that wasn't the expectation when Jordan was playing, right? Like, you needed
Centers
to get
were not taking 3-pointers.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
Jordan's era.
Right,
Now
like,
that
yeah,
now that every center has
somebody
a shot,
like
damn
somebody
near.
like Jokic, the Joker Jokic. He would have been totally out of place in the 90s NBA.
Dude, Wilt Chamberlain wasn't shooting 3-pointers,
no.
and you could consider him.
He also
one of
wasn't
the greatest.
passing
Well, it's
like
like Shaq,
Jokic
too.
either,
Yeah. He was just putting the ball in the hoop.
and
Yeah.
doing that very well. Yeah,
There's a few guys like that, like
To the hoop,
Shaquille
y'all.
O'Neal.
and,
All right.
and yeah. I'll go ahead, Joel.
No, I'm sorry. I love where we're going with this. We're at an hour. We're not done, but
Oh, my
we're at an
goodness.
hour. But where so to reel it back in, because I was trying to give a
Yes.
big analogy,
Yeah.
and the question was like you were asking was that if you had talent, can it expand or
Yeah.
is it just kind of limited? So I think natural talent is just an analogy or a word. Sorry, no, a word that defines, like, without maybe putting any effort into something, like knowingly, how good you are at something.
Yeah.
But is that determination made there on the spot? Like, for example, if you're 20 and I'm like, oh, he's super talented, but am I assessing that talent on the basis of what's been cultivated? versus like if you're 7.
Yes. So I think it's more of the first time you've done something
Yeah.
type word you should use.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go to every single NBA player and say they're talented, first of all, they probably are, but that's not. They didn't only get there on talent. They got there on skill, perseverance, and again, like I said, a giant recipe of things
Yeah.
that got them there. Again, I don't know. It's kind of a weird thing to kind
So
of
would you say that
define.
talent is inborn?
I
You're
think
saying talent's not born is what you're saying.
And could it be?
he's
and,
saying
and
like
could it be altered?
when you're born, you have it. Like is what
Yeah,
he's saying.
I
yeah.
think
And can talent itself, not skill, but talent for the purposes of our distinction,
Yeah.
could it be altered, expanded, or reduced as a result of conditions? Environment.
Reduced, I think, for sure. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
imagine if you had
if
like
you don't use it, you lose
Yeah.
it.
if you don't use it, or maybe you have like a you know something an unfortunate accident that
Yeah.
caused you
Yeah.
to maybe
Sure,
Like Ben Gordon.
sure.
you know you lose some sort of mental or physical capacity that could definitely affect it. Can you improve upon it or any? No, I think at that point it's you're
Just maximizing.
maximizing what you were already going to be. Like I have a natural talent for communication. I think I can talk to people. I've publicly spoke. Excuse me.
Dude, that's a bad time.
Yeah.
I can speak real good.
I have natural like a desire, willingness within me to be a leader, but I think that probably formed from a necessity that came from something else that happened in my life, and so like I don't think that like just being born I was a leader. It was I don't know. This is
So
a
it
really
was
hard-
developed. It was
I
developed.
think
you
most
think?
of the time it is developed.
Yeah.
Yes,
But maybe at very formative stages or something.
yeah,
I think that people are born with better hand-eye coordination. Better
they've got better
Sure.
eyes.
Yeah.
Sure, and maybe more brain
and then
capacity in
brain
some
capacity
respects.
or like how your brain fires,
Yeah,
like the
exactly.
communication.
That
I
would
feel
be
like,
like what
and
you're
I feel
talking
like
about.
that could be
Yeah.
cultivated.
Yeah. So, like, do you think? Okay, so now the question is like hard work versus natural talent,
Mhm.
which is more impactful?
That's-
And I'm trying to think of what
We've muddied the distinctions now.
it's kind of hard
Yeah.
to.
but
yeah,
I still like the question.
yeah,
I've always been more on the favor of natural talent for some reason. It's like I appreciate hard work and I can do it, and I think that's very important. But there's something about just when it flows, like whenever you see it, just somebody that just out of nowhere. It's like, where did that come from? It's like, and I don't know. There's something beautiful to me about that.
yeah.
I have a great anecdote that
Yeah.
I just on that
Please
note.
share.
Go ahead.
There's an interesting conversation that took place between Bob Dylan and Leonard Cohen
Oh,
at a
interesting.
French cafe, if I'm not mistaken.
That's
but
so
don't quote me
Bob
on that.
Dylan and Leonard
Yeah,
Cohen.
I really. Yeah.
I think part of it might be recounted by one of Leonard Cohen's biographers, but I've heard the story told in several different ways. But they met up and they were like, "Hey, what's going on?" And this was like in the 80s.
You
and
sure it
so-
wasn't like, hey, what's going
Yeah.
on?
Yeah.
Hey, man,
Probably
what's
more like
going
that.
on?
Yeah.
Well, I'm doing pretty good today.
How about you, Leonard?
It's probably more accurate. And Bob Dylan asked, Leonard Cohen asked Bob Dylan first, I guess, what he'd been working on, and he's singing this song. And it took me 15 minutes in the back of a cab, and it was a hit single, right? One of the hit singles from the 80s. He had several, as he has from every decade. And then Dylan returned the favor and asked Cohen what he'd been working on and how long it had taken him. And he mentioned Hallelujah, and he's like, yeah, about 4 or 5 years, something like that.
Yeah.
And he was lowballing it, like it had actually taken him closer to a decade.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show you, I think, that some artists are able to do something without like it almost just seems immediate,
Yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And others, it's very painstaking.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't necessarily say the quality of the art
Oh no.
Mhm.
is related to either, right? Like it stands on its own.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
both
Doesn't
great.
matter which road you take.
Yeah,
it's
they're
just
both very
if you
important.
both get there.
The reason I say that is because with me, I'm not tooting my own horn or anything, but I feel like things have came to me like that. Like with
Just
guitar, I can
naturally?
just pick up a guitar and write a song about anything. You give me a topic, I will make a song.
Yeah.
I've always been able to do that.
Yeah, I'd agree with you.
Like
there.
at any get-togethers or anything, I'll just grab a guitar and be like, sing something, and
You
it just,
wrote-
I
you-
don't know, it just comes.
For anybody, if we didn't explain this, the new title song for our podcast,
I love it.
was written
It's so good.
by Blake.
Yeah,
It's
And,
phenomenal.
and you help too. I mean, I know you
Yeah,
did the
no,
first draft.
I didn't write it. I just sang with
Branson
him.
You helped-
helped me. Me and Branson have a pretty good writing relationship,
Yeah.
and
Let
it-
him
yeah, it's like we're in a French cafe. No, I'm kidding.
No, but Blake, I'm curious now. Do you think that are there any artistic musical things that you've done that have required an immense amount of work and just time and energy and effort that you think were able to, that did bear fruit?
Well,
Or is it always for you?
you know what's weird with me?
something
I feel like
organic
the
and
longer
quick.
I take on it, the more I fuck it up. Like I'll
I'd
overthink.
agree.
Like if I'm
Always.
Really?
pinned,
Is that
if I'm
always
pinned
the
to
case?
paper, I'm like, what do I write? What do I write? What do I write? But if I just grab a guitar, boom, it's weird. It's like, and it just comes from
Yeah.
the ether. And it's like I've put like paintings, like it requires a little more thought
Yeah,
and plan it out. But like I said, like if I
more labor time.
overthink it or try to do it, I just feel like I'm just like, okay, now I'm just online.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Paintings you have to let dry at one point, so then to
Yeah.
do the next part.
Yeah.
So
Especially like with
you're
oil.
forced to take time.
Yeah,
there.
that,
Yes.
in that way, yeah.
Yeah.
Like when we recorded our album, we took 3
Yeah,
takes.
see-
we would take 3 takes, pick the best one.
But that we
And
did
just
work
call it
on that
that.
in the lyrics. Like with that, we did put. I was proud.
That
of
was the most
lyrics
work
and we
that
put.
Do you
put-
think
yeah, we
there's
put
a
a lot of
difference
work into that.
between, in terms of maybe the medium, like words sometimes they flow. Like I know this just from writing poetry. Like sometimes I'll feel very inspired and
Yeah.
it'll just flow. I don't know if it's the best thing that I've done, but it's solid enough by my standards. Other times I have to really work at it, but I'm very pleased
Yeah.
with what the outcome is after I've really worked at it for a long period of time. So I'm wondering if, like, for you, if you think that the artistic medium, if that has some bearing on how much time has to be invested in order for something to bear fruit, or how much spontaneity is required for something to meet your standards.
Yeah, it just all depends on what it is. Because I love everything, anything art, anything entertainment wise, like this podcast, even
Yeah.
And it's like there's definitely value. I mean, I'm not saying I'm always just flowing and things are coming. Of course not. It's like I've definitely put a lot of work into things too. But it's just, I don't know. It's ever since I've been young, I just feel like that flow. I like the flow state. I'm just a fan of the flow state. I like meditation. I like the Zen vibe. I like when things just seem like they just naturally come, and it's like this beautiful flow. But there's definitely something to say about working. Like when me and Branson worked on those lyrics, it's like we really put time into it, and I thought it was some of the best work I've ever done as
we
far
didn't
as lyric
start out
wise.
that way though. It just started out as a joke
No, yeah, it started all out.
Started
just,
out as a
but
joke.
spontaneous
that we were
joke.
doing at work.
Mm-hmm.
We were like, "Oh, dude, we should do a song like where we're cavemen." We're like,
and,
"Eat,
and then it came this whole
Fuck.
album.
kill,
Yeah,
shit,"
yeah, and then
and
it
that has a
turned.
little double meaning there. Like,
Yeah, and then it turned
sounds
from
like
the
you're like,
beginning of man
kill,
to
like
AI.
you kill shit. No, it's kill and like take a shit. But
Yeah,
that was the joke,
yeah.
and we thought it was funny in our little 12-year-old minds.
Yeah.
But
Is this live, by the way? Is this
Not
also
live.
No, it's
This
not
is
live.
recorded.
Okay.
And then Branson will edit it a little bit and then put it out. But the idea is that he doesn't have to do too much editing, more
Sure.
or less adding the beginning and the
Is it
end.
natural talent or is it hard work?
Well,
no, it's the flow, man.
so
It kinda
when
is.
I think of
it's a
the
beautiful flow.
when I think I'm gonna if it, I'll kind of put a last part on this question and then we're gonna move to the last official question. We're at a 1:15, so this might be a 1:30.
It's time to wrap it up.
What I was going to say with this question was, when I think of hard work, for some reason I think of the phrase "work smarter, not harder," and I always think of like people who just work hard purely because they think that alone is the only thing you should do. As I don't want to say wasted time, but it could be time that could be done better. Like I've tried to help this one guy one time. He loves doing his taxes on his own. What did I say?
When you said work harder, not smarter, all I thought was
work
like
smarter, not harder.
I know, but all I thought it was like fart harder, don't charter.
That's what you get.
and I was trying to hold in my laughter.
Okay, I
but
thought
you
I did
called me
something.
out, so that's what I
No,
was thinking of.
okay,
I'm sorry.
I'll be
I
quiet
don't
next
mean
time.
to do that, but
but like what I'm thinking of is more along the lines of if you're gonna put in time and it's not gonna come like flow to you freely. Like you guys are talking about creating, and sometimes it's easier, sometimes it's not. I equate that to like days I need to get shit done around my house. There are days where I'm like, I'm on it and I'm got enough of a positive vibe. Let's get this stuff knocked out. It's usually on a sunny day. I don't have a lot of things going on, and I have freedom at the end of it. But then there's other days where like nothing else has changed, but for some reason my mood's different, and it's like it feels impossible to do the laundry or take care of things. And so like I think that goes with a lot of things, just some ebbs and some flows.
Yeah.
All right. So the last question in this is, if you had to start a brand new career tomorrow, what do you think you would do? And this, of course, we've been talking a lot about skills, talents, hard work, or, working smarter or whatever. Like if you tomorrow, you got fired today and you got to start a new career tomorrow.
Like
what do you
even
do?
like, do you mean like start a new career today, like in our age right now, or if like
Right
do you mean-
now. Right now.
I was hoping you would be like from the beginning.
Nope. Right now.
I don't like that.
So
All right.
can it be something that like seems outlandish? Like
It doesn't matter.
anything that-
You can
that-
you can answer with whatever you
All
want.
right.
We'll start with you,
Dude,
Blake.
I would love to be a stand-up comic or a
Really?
or a musician, but I think I could do the stand-up comedy. That way, I could do the philosophy with it, and I could do the music with it. I could add everything into it.
Comedians
You're,
are
you're not starting
often
to
very
because
intelligent.
Because like Bill
Dangerfield,
Hicks.
Dangerfield wasn't popular.
Yeah, he
until
was like
in his
50s. Yeah, and Bukowski.
Yeah.
He didn't.
But
get,
like I think of
Right.
like George Carlin when you say stuff like that.
Yeah.
He was always
yeah,
like
thinking and,
like presenting ideas to people in a comedic fashion. But he
that-
was
yeah, exactly.
really being
He was
like
like apples,
serious.
grapes, bananas.
Who's the stand-up comic who did and you chop the broccoli? Do you remember that?
That's
Dana,
right.
Oh, Dana Carvey.
Dana
Yes.
Carvey. I was
Thank
thinking
you.
Rob
Yeah.
Schneider.
It's
For
a
some
back-
reason.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a great
No,
Saturday Night
Rob
Live
Schneider
skit.
was making copies.
Yeah. But Bill Hicks is a big influence of mine. And
Oh,
he
yeah.
was like that, and he
For the
got people
philosophy, yeah.
thinking,
Yeah.
But it's like you can add music to it. You can do anything on there, really, as
Uh-huh.
long as you're providing some form of laughter,
Yes.
And I
I
think,
think you
that
could do that.
I could even put paintings on stage. I think, I would love to do that. Love it.
Your demeanor kind of also reminds me of Dimitri Martin. Do you remember
Oh,
him?
yeah.
He had a show on Comedy Central for a little bit, but he's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like more reserved. But he would have these like little clever comedy bits, and he'd often like draw things and shit. I don't
Yeah.
know. But not
yeah,
that you would
that's-
be exactly like that, but
No,
I totally
yeah.
get where you're coming from.
Yeah, that's just
So you want to be stand-up comedian or a
just
performer,
something that, performing.
a performing artist.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
What about you, Branson?
Well, I thought the question was going to be totally different. I didn't know we had to do it right now.
The question is,
But yeah, I'd be more along the line.
if you had to start
I-
a brand
I-
new career
I would,
tomorrow,
I would. I guess I didn't read the tomorrow part, so I got it in my head that I was going to be like,
Do you want
I
us to come
start
back
life,
to you?
Start life all over again. No, I'll answer the question. I'd probably like to do what Blake wants to do.
you want to do that?
Yeah, but if I
What if you guys both got fired tomorrow? Would you both try to just do the same thing?
Dude, if they're, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
but if I could start at the beginning, brother,
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I would.
You got to
be a
get it
pro-
out. Come on. What would you do if you started?
I'd want to
over?
be a professional wrestler for
Would
some
you
reason.
really?
Yeah, dude. I don't know why.
Did you know
That's
Tommy?
why I was so excited about this conversation. Tommy went to wrestling school.
He
I
did
know.
go to wrestling school.
I wish I would have went with him, man. Ooh,
See, that's a form of art and
right
entertainment,
there,
too.
brother.
What's your
Branson, did
wrestler's
you ever
name?
wrestle with us on
Yeah,
the
dude.
backyard trampoline?
Oh yeah, dude.
I know we did the
had
boxing.
boxing, wrestling, everything, man.
I didn't know this about you.
Dude, I've probably power bombed James He's probably been choke
Is that
slammed,
right?
I forgot.
got elbow dropped, like done everything.
Probably a repressed
and we
memory.
punched each other in the face with boxing gloves.
what
So-
was
I do
your-
remember that.
we used to have boxing Royal Rumbles, which is insane because you'd be boxing somebody,
Yeah,
and then all of a
don't
sudden,
recommend that.
somebody comes up with
Random
this haymaker.
just coming at your face. Oh my god!
It was.
That's
I don't
hilarious.
know why we did that. Like,
Yeah.
but
That's
it
creative,
it's
though.
a good
That's fun.
memory.
What was
Good
your
memory.
favorite wrestling move?
The stunner, dog.
Yeah, I was
The
gonna
Stone
say
Cold
that's a
stuff,
pretty
like,
classic
Yeah, I
one.
still stunner people to this day.
Dang.
I also, I'm a big Macho Man fan. So
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Let me tell you
Wouldn't
something.
mind elbow
Oh, what
dropping
do you have, the
somebody from
flying
the top
elbow?
rope.
Was that
yeah,
what it
from the
was?
top
Yeah.
rope, he points at the sky.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
do it right now. My
Oh,
voice is all messed
yeah.
up.
All right. What about you, James?
So I've dabbled in freelance journalism for a while. So if I wasn't able to continue the academia thing, I'd probably go to that. But then also, I mentioned before, interest in computer programming, take some Python, C++ courses, maybe
Yeah.
get into that. But I don't know if y'all know this about me, but I won the Bond County Fair second place silver medal award for stand-up comedy.
Oh yeah.
What?
In
I forgot you did
2004.
that.
You did
Yeah.
stand-up comedy?
I forgot all
Yeah,
They
about
had a
that.
stand-up
And
comedy
I've,
thing.
I've heard that I have really excellent comedic timing.
I want to hear that routine. If you
Yeah. Oh
my
remember
God,
it at
did
some
somebody
point. Not right
record
now.
I have
Not
to,
right now.
so I'm
but-
not. I think I'm different from you guys, and that I have to like really think it through a little bit. Although I'm really good at those punchy, sort of pithy
Yeah.
shots
Yeah.
that you don't expect on
Yeah.
occasion. So I'll
All
throw
right.
that in. But
right.
it has to be a little more formulaic for me, and for me to think it out, and then for me to because I love executing. And even though I don't think I'm like you, Joel, I don't think I'm a great public speaker.
Yeah.
I think I can lean into that, and I have a performative side to me that actually, if I don't nurture and nourish, I don't think I feel whole,
Yeah.
and so I know I would feel whole if I was devoting myself to that.
Yeah. Let's all quit our jobs and be stand
It's time to write. It's time.
This is
It's time to
not
start
a-
write some comedy,
Yeah.
guys. Comedy.
Hey, I think I think if I had to I would if I would stopped being in like a technical field with data and computers and everything that I do now, I would I kind of dabble right now in reselling on eBay, like
Oh,
finding
okay.
things, garage
Gotcha.
sales and stuff. I would love to be my own boss. So I would probably start a business.
I didn't even think of that.
I would probably
That
start
used
a
to be my
business.
dream.
At that point, I would just be like, I think we could live off of my wife's salary for just a little bit to get me going.
All right.
But I just really like, I don't know. There's
Dude,
something really exciting about
you can be the boss of this comedy troupe.
I
Yeah.
could be
Be
your
our manager.
manager.
We'll be the Three Stooges.
Yeah.
We'll be the,
That's another talent I have. I'm really good at organizing and getting things going.
well, like
But-
the
You know, Joel,
podcast.
I'm teaching an intro to labor studies course now.
Oh, yeah?
And part of the curriculum involves discussion of organizing methods and strategy and tactics. So I can share that with you later.
That would be great. I could tell you, like, there's 3 projects that I started in the past like year, and one of them I stream on Twitch. I stream Pokemon cards, so like we rip Pokemon cards on Twitch. It's a lot of fun, but boy, getting that set up, there's a lot that goes into it. From you have to create. First of all, you got to come up with a name. You got to come up with. You got to get all. You got to secure your email address, your domain.
very hard.
You got to get all the software to put that together. I mean, and there was some hardware. I've purchased a new microphone, a new headset, a new webcam, a new everything to get this all set up. So that took a lot. Like, and it wasn't like done at the very first stream. That's the thing I try to keep in mind with me. And this is, I know I'm kind of getting a little off topic.
Rome
but
wasn't built in a day, baby.
it wasn't built in a day. So
That's right.
where I used to work, they had this like pillar of, I guess, their culture, and they said progress over perfection. And what that means a lot to me, because what I think of it is you don't have to have it 100% perfect before you get started. In fact, you often have to grow in that, and it gives you a chance to practice and get better. Like, even if you had all the best equipment and money in the world, you could be an awful public speaker or streamer or personality or whatever it is. Like, but at the start, but then you get better as you go. So, okay, back to where I was going. I've started 3 different things. I'm streaming, I am doing this podcast, and now I'm selling things on eBay. And all those take a lot of organization. Like, trying to the selling on eBay I was so intimidated by it, most because I was scared about shipping. Like, you don't want to sell stuff and then, great, I made money, but then I lost it all because I didn't calculate my shipping properly and all this other stuff. And then to ship stuff, you need boxes and you need packing materials, and then you need a label maker eventually, and at least a regular printer. And you got to be, oh my God, there's so so much stuff that goes into it. But I find that, like, again, if you want to do it, just go for it and try it. Do your research and put a little bit of time into it before you get going. But just don't be afraid to get started. Is my phone vibrating? My daughter's calling me. All right. Well, I think that's about it for our podcast today.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening. We appreciate you guys, and we got lots more episodes coming at you guys real soon. All right.
Alrighty.
See you guys later.
Later.
See ya.
Later.
Peace out.
Friends till the end, best 14 friends.